Book of Daniel, chapter 4. Nebuchadnezzar, the king, unto all people, nations, and languages that dwell in all the earth, peace be multiplied unto you. I thought it good to shew the signs and wonders that the high God hath wrought toward me. How great are his signs, and how mighty are his wonders. His kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and his dominion is from generation to generation. I, Nebuchadnezzar, was at rest in mine house, and flourishing in my palace. I saw a dream which made me afraid, and the thoughts upon my bed and the visions of my head troubled me. Therefore made I a decree to bring in all the wise men of Babylon before me, that they might make known unto me the interpretation of the dream. Now, that's not true, is it? That's not true. He did not just want the interpretation of the dream. He wanted them to tell him the dream that he had. So, this is not true. Then came in the magicians, the astrologers, the Chaldeans, and the soothsayers. And I told the dream before them, but they did not make known unto me the interpretation thereof. I don't think he told them the dream. Or this is the second time. Here we go. We'll find out. But at the last, Daniel came in before me, whose name was Belteshazzar, according to the name of my God. Okay, that's who he's named after. It's Bel, B-E-L, probably. Because they find these little statues, they're horrible. It's so ugly. It's not Baal, it's Bel. It was before Baal. It's just B-E-L. And it's this little man standing there screaming with his mouth open in a rage with his hands held high up. But, well, it's just not their God. I think they had a few kings named after their God too. But before that, I thought he was named after one of their kings. But this is horrible, right? They took him and they made his name Belteshazzar, right? And we'll hear a little bit later about Belshazzar, who is the son of this king, Nebuchadnezzar. Okay, so let's see what he says. And in whom is the spirit of the holy gods. And before him I told a dream, saying, O Belteshazzar, master of the magicians, because I know that the spirit of the holy gods is in thee, and no secret troubleth thee. Tell me the visions of my dream that I have seen, and the interpretation thereof. So he wanted the whole dream and the interpretation. He's kind of telling more of the truth here. Thus were the visions of mine head in my bed. I saw, and behold, a tree. Oh, this is another dream. A tree in the midst of the earth, and the height thereof was great. The tree grew and was strong, and the height thereof reached unto heaven, and the sight thereof to the end of all the earth. The leaves thereof were fair, and the fruit thereof much, and in it was meat for all. The beasts of the field had shadow under it, and the fowls of the heaven dwelt in the boughs thereof, and all flesh was fed of it. I saw in the visions of my head upon my bed, and behold, a watcher and an holy one came down from heaven. He cried aloud and said thus, Hew down the tree and cut off his branches, shake off his leaves and scatter his fruit. Let the beasts get away from under it and the fowls from under his branches, and the fowls from his branches. Nevertheless, leave the stump of his roots in the earth, even with a band of iron and brass. In the tender grass of the field, and let it be wet with the dew of heaven, and let his portion be with the beasts in the grass of the earth. Let his heart be changed from man's, and let a beast's heart be given unto him, and let 7 times pass over him. This matter is by the decree of the watchers, and the demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will, and setteth up over it the basest of men. Oh, it sounds familiar, right? Isn't that how we feel right now? Yep. Okay. This dream I, King Nebuchadnezzar, have seen. Now thou, O Belteshazzar, declare the interpretation thereof, forasmuch as all the wise men of my kingdom are not able to make known unto me the interpretation. So here we have the second time this is occurring. We don't know how long after the first time this happened, but it's the second time. But thou art able, for the spirit of the holy gods is in thee. Oh, there he goes, calling holy gods. Like, he didn't accept this the first time about the dream, so it's holy gods, little g gods, is in thee. Daniel's like, uh-oh, like, I told you, brother, it's one guy, right? But here we go. Then Daniel, whose name was Belteshazzar, was astonied for 1 hour, and his thoughts troubled him. The king spake and said, Belteshazzar, let not the dream or the interpretation thereof trouble thee. Belteshazzar answered and said, My lord, the dream be to them that hate thee, and the interpretation thereof to thine enemies. Uh-oh, here it comes. The tree that thou sawest, which grew and was strong, whose height reached unto the heaven, and the sight thereof to all the earth, whose leaves were fair, and the fruit thereof much, and in it was meat for all, under which the beasts of the field dwelt, and upon whose branches the fowls of the heavens had their habitation. It is thou, O king, that art grown and become strong, for thy greatness is grown and reacheth unto heaven, and thy dominion to the end of the earth. You know what? When it says that, well, it's kind of starting to make you think that he's the one that built the Tower of Babel. I know it was Nimrod, right? It was way before this. But you see what it says? And reacheth unto heaven. And plus he's in Babylon. And that's where... Isn't that where? Which is in Iraq, right? Is that where Nimrod was? He's all over the place, probably. But this guy is in Babylon. This king. He gets... Okay, so he's getting flattered here. And thy dominion to the end of the earth. And whereas the king saw a watcher and an holy one coming down from heaven, and saying, Hew the tree down and destroy it, yet leave the stump of the roots thereof in the earth, even with a band of iron and brass, in the tender grass of the field. And let it be wet with the dew of heaven, and let his portion be with the beasts of the field. till 7 times pass over him. This is the interpretation, O king, and this is the decree of the Most High, which is come upon my Lord the king. A little K for king. And Most High, the high part is in capital. Okay. That they shall drive thee from men, and thy dwelling shall be with the beasts of the field. And they shall make thee to eat grass as an oxen, and they shall wet thee with the dew of heaven, and 7 times shall pass over thee, till thou know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will. Oh. See, he shouldn't have said this part in 18 about where, for the spirit of the holy gods is in thee. Like, why did you even say that? That king. Yeah, well, here we go. And whereas they commanded to leave the stump of the tree roots, thy kingdom shall be sure unto thee. After that, thou shalt have known that the heavens do rule. Wherefore, O king, let my counsel be acceptable unto thee, and break off thy sins by righteousness, and thine iniquities by shewing mercy to the poor, if it may be a lengthening of thy tranquility. Well, he's giving him advice. He's telling him to be righteous and show mercy to the poor. Like, just stave it off a little bit or to make it not so bad. Okay, here we go. See what he says. Like, that's not really something the king really you want to be telling the king. This is a guy who has killed people because they can't tell him what his dream was. Not simply the interpretation. They just were demanded, you tell me what I dreamed. You tell me the dream and the interpretation. So there's something going on with this guy. Like, it could be said he's well, look already what he did. He built this horrible image of gold, right? In the beginning of chapter 3, there was 666 something, right? Three score cubits, and the breadth of 6 cubits, right? The height and the breadth add up to like 666, and they're pointing that out, right? That's the number of the beast. So either he's demonized, or simply, really, I think more likely is just totally God's will. God put him there. God, really, he just had to meet Daniel, and this is the way it happened, you know? It's just the way. I mean, you can't really say he does lose it, right? After he goes into the field and eats grass, I guess you can say that. But something was already going on with him, because I want to find out, and I really want to put some pictures up, because then I go through the chapter and then put little descriptions of things that I couldn't figure out. But what's really important is that at some point, I read that he left the temple stuff alone, and I keep mentioning that. And then at some point it said he took a lot of the stuff from the temple with people. So it was like he probably captured the Levites, and then I see like the Levites carrying their stuff, right? He just takes them, right? Like, they don't just kill it. He's not killing everybody, right? He took these 4 children, and he's like, I'm going to raise them my way, and that way you're going to spread it to all your people, whatever I teach you, right? He's setting them up, right? Mm-hmm. So it kind of seems more like it's just totally ordained by God, this thing, because it's just the strangest request in the world, right? You tell me my dream, and interpret it, right? And somehow, right, God laid that on him. Boom. And guess what? There's Daniel. So it was already preordained somehow. So here we go. It seemed like, so all I'm trying to say is it seemed like he was kind of okay in the beginning. He was kind of, because he left the stuff alone, and that seemed really important. But then he took it, and then we don't hear anything else about it, right? We'll hear about what some of the vessels that his son did. Belshazzar, who has 2 letters off the name they gave Daniel, right? Belteshazzar. Okay, 28. All this came upon the king Nebuchadnezzar. That's it. All this came upon the king. Just what he said. At the end of 12 months, he walked in the palace of the kingdom of Babylon. The king spake and said, Is not this great Babylon that I have built for the house of the kingdom by the might of my power and for the honor of my majesty? While the word was in the king's mouth, there fell a voice from heaven saying, O King Nebuchadnezzar, to thee it is spoken, the kingdom is departed from thee. Boom. Uh-oh. And they shall drive thee from men, and thy dwelling shall be with the beasts of the field. They shall make thee to eat grass as oxen, and 7 times shall pass over thee, until thou know that the Most High ruleth the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomever he will. It's kind of important for us these days who are so oppressed. I keep saying that. It says it. Until he know the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will. That's both in 25. It's in 32. Know that the Most High ruleth the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will. Uh-oh. The same hour was the thing fulfilled upon Nebuchadnezzar, and he was driven from men, and did eat grass as oxen, and his body was wet with the dew of heaven, till his hairs were grown like eagle's feathers, and his nails like birds' claws. And at the end of the days, I, Nebuchadnezzar, lifted up mine eyes unto heaven, and mine understanding returned unto me. And I blessed the Most High. Oh, there, that's what he calls him. No more of that. For the spirit of the holy gods is in me, with little g, right? That's it. The Most High. Until thou know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will. Right? That's what it said. Repeats repeatedly. Okay, I, Nebuchadnezzar, lifted up mine eyes into heaven, and mine understanding returned unto me. Okay. And I blessed the Most High, and I praised and honored him that liveth forever, whose dominion is an everlasting dominion, and his kingdom is from generation to generation. And all the inhabitants of the earth are reputed as nothing, and he doeth according to his will in the army of heaven, and among the inhabitants of the earth, and none can stay his hand, or say unto him, What doest thou? At the same time my reason returned unto me, and for the glory of my kingdom mine honor and brightness returned unto me, and my counselors and my lords sought unto me, and I was established in my kingdom, and excellent majesty was added unto me. Now I, Nebuchadnezzar, praise and extol and honor the King of heaven, all whose works are truth, and his ways judgment, and those that walk in pride he is able to abase.